when it comes to smacking yourself in the head and not smacking yourself in the head, then I would cast off shoulder.
Let's talk about stripping. And I'm not talking about your magic Mike routine for your wife at night.
Yeah, it can be both. Really subtle and just awesome, like going to a Megadeth concert and just hits hard, you know?
I mean, those big fish, like you said, they got big for a reason, and more often than not, you walk away with your tail tucked between your legs.
Oh, yeah.
And you just got to salute him.
And I'm not saying that they're Einstein. They still have the brain size of a chicken. Stick 'em solid. Urgh.
Welcome to the Drop Jaw Flies podcast. In this episode, we talk with Spencer Higa from Tacky Fishing. Spencer tells us a little bit of the history of tacky fishing. We discuss tacky fly boxes and what makes them so great. Spencer also tells us about Falcon's Ledge, an awesome fishing and hunting lodge. We discuss fishing with guides and why every fly fisherman should try fishing with a guide at least once. If you like today's podcast, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or our YouTube channel. I'm Chad Nelson, along with my co-host, Jason Arvey. Here is today's podcast. Okay, I know that's a big room. Jason and I have done that before. You guys are going to have to scoot a little closer together.
Okay.
You know, I don't mind. There's not any bad energy. It's pretty good.
Opposed to your experience with me, right?
We already have one edit for me messing up there. Sorry.
Oh, you want me to start recording?
Oh, no. Oh, what?
I'm just kidding. I'm always recording, man. I might get some nuggets on here that I can use on you later. Blackmail you or something.
That's right, man. Well, our background's good. We got a pine tree. We got the word believe. That's right.
Man, we're ready to roll.
I was going to show Spencer my first attempt at the heads back, like, I think that was 12 years ago.
Ooh,
oh, no kidding.
Squishy.
It's
a gummy head.
That's impressive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that head doesn't break, but it doesn't wiggle either.
You don't need it to wiggle.
Yeah.
It's dead.
And it weighs 1/4 of an ounce, so it's a fly rod breaker. I learned the hard way.
Well, let's jump into it. All right, guys, welcome to today's episode of the Drop Jaw Flies podcast, and we have special guest Spencer Higa with us from Tacky Fishing. Welcome, Spencer.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. We got a lot of questions for you.
Okay, shoot.
Jason's told me a lot about you and your background, but first I want to know how you two met and how long you've known each other.
Oh, man. When did we meet? Was it Star Valley?
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago. Like, I've known about Spencer for a long time, but just didn't ever meet him before. And through another mutual friend, Courtney Boyce, Blue Halo fame.
Yeah.
We all met at Star Valley at a guiding type of an event. Spencer, is that right?
Yeah, it was a Star Valley Trout Ranch.
That's right.
They do some guided fly fishing there, and we were just out there helping out.
Awesome. So that was just, a year ago, 2 years ago, you said?
It
wasn't even a year ago.
It was last June or July.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not too long ago.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you guys are not quite that comfortable rubbing shoulders then, right now.
There's a few inches of separation. I mean, you know.
Looks good. And Spencer, appreciate you coordinating colors there too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got the memo, and so we're coordinated.
You can see the tacky mayfly right there. That's pretty cool. It kind of goes
hard.
The trout mouth is agape, ready to eat that mayfly.
Perfect.
Man, totally coordinated. You guys are on it.
Look at you, Chad, with the blue and gray on there. Pretty good.
I don't know if you can see that or not. But I've been relegated to the basement today, to the dungeon, so I need this sweatshirt on, this hoodie to stay warm. So, Spencer, you work for Tacky Fishing.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your history with Tacky and how Tacky came to be.
So the founders of Tacky Fly Fishing are Tim Jenkins and Kai Aston. And in about 2010, they're research professors at the University of Utah. And they're in the labs all the time. And so they had some silicone laying around, and they were just kind of messing around one day, talking about putting flies in it. So one day they brought some flies with them. They started sticking flies in it, pulling them out, sticking them in, pulling them out. And just kind of the idea started coming about, and then they started putting slits in it, started putting flies in, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So about 2010, they started with the idea, and then they told me about it and brought me on board as well. So it's been quite a few years coming, but when we launched it's been a lot of fun to see it grow and see some excitement in the industry.
Awesome. So you've been in it from the get-go, from the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, they went. I wasn't in it when they were kind of talking about it, but once the idea started snowballing, they brought me on board and start just helping out wherever I can with them. So.
Oh, very cool. So why flies? Are these guys fly fishermen too?
Yep. Everyone's fly fisherman. That's with the company. It's just our passion. We love it. I've been doing it all my life. Those guys as well have been fishing their whole lives, and we get out as much as we can. And then everyone's got full-time jobs, aside from Tacky. But I'm pretty lucky. My job is to fly fish, so it kind of goes hand in hand. And I'm lucky enough to get out on the water a little bit more than the rest of them.
Like 365 days for it?
About 358.
358. I was going to say like 375 because,
some sick days in there,
That's right. Chad, I got one of Tacky boxes right here. I just think for the longest time, fly boxes, they were filled with foam or they had little clips in them. And you put your fly in. And after a while, it would build a hole or something. The flies would just pop out. They'd be worthless. And so, got to have Spencer just share a little bit about why this is so cool.
Yeah. So, like you were saying, usually you're putting flies in and out of the foam. The foam stretches over time. So, like you said, once it stretches out, you open your box, flies just fall out. So the nice thing about silicone is it doesn't stretch. And so you stick a fly in there. You can stick a size 2, drop jaw fly in there, have it in there for a week or so, pop it out, and you could throw a size 14 parachute Adams in there, and it'll hold it just fine. So it's really nice. You're not going to lose flies. You can drop the box, you can bang on it, and flies are not going to come out. And we got the magnetic closures. We went away from the clasp just because they wear out.
Yeah,
these magnets are pretty strong. So, you're going to drop the box. You're not going to lose any flies.
Awesome. So those are virtually bomb-proof. They should last a long, long time.
They'll last a long time. We've run over them with cars. We've done a lot of stuff to them. So we've shot them with shotguns, and we'll put holes in them, but. They're pretty strong.
I got a shotgun, man.
I was just going to do it. Next time you're testing those out, can we come?
I know.
So, I think they're just really cool because on our pack trips that we do, this is such a small profile. I don't know if you can see how thin it is. And it's just really easy to get into. If it's raining or windy, you can just take a quick glance, and you don't have to fumble around with the clasp. You just pop it open. And there's your fly. And like I said, they're just so skinny. Just drop that down in your pack and works great. So we love them.
Awesome. So that one you're holding, Jason, that's the largest size, correct?
I think we have one size bigger than that. This is the biggest.
Yeah, this is the big bug box. Then we have the original, which is smaller, and then the day pack, which is the little guy.
Yeah. Cool.
And we can get easily a day's worth of flies. I just don't use a lot of flies when we're out on the reservoir or at the lake, and this will hold. I usually can get about 4 of these big guys or 6 of the little ones, which is perfect. It's all I need for a day. So it doesn't take up very much room, and I really love them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, Spencer, I know you guys have your newest product is called the Tacky Tube.
Yeah.
I've seen that in stores. Tell us a little bit about the Tacky Tube and where that concept came from.
Yeah, so the Tacky Tube is pretty much our version of a dry patch. And how that came about was, normal dry patches you can hang on your vest or your lanyard, and if you're, walking around, if you're going through brush and stuff, your flies are grabbing onto the leaves, the branches, and they're pulling off, and you're losing flies when you're making your way down to the river. So what we've come up with is a little tube, and the silicone's on the inside. It's a hard plastic tube on the outside. It's magnetic closure. It's got actually 2 magnets on the inside, so you can actually put flies in while it's closed. It's got a hinge on it, so you can crack it open. You can stick flies and line up. You can put a couple dozen, flies in it easily. But it's got the magnets on the inside. If you're lazy and there's a hatch coming on, and you don't want to take the time to slide into the silicone, you can actually just drop it in, and it'll stick to the magnets inside. And then you can tie your other fly on and not waste as much time. So. And again, you can hook it to a lanyard, a vest, a chest pack, a sling pack, and it works really well. And it, like I said, you can walk through the bushes, and it's not going to grab your flies and tear them off.
Oh, that is so cool. That's good for what range size of flies?
You know what? We've got some pictures guys sent us. They're putting streamers in them. So anywhere from zebra midges to size 4 streamers.
Wow.
So and we didn't really intend it for streamers, but guys are just sticking them in there, and they're actually using it kind of as a small fly box. If they're going out just for an afternoon, they can stick a 3 or 4 hours worth of flies in there, and be fine.
Cool. And that one's in stores now, right?
It is. Yep. That one's available now. So we've got 4 products now.
That's cool.
Cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
You know what you were saying, Chad, when a hatch is going, you think, why don't you just take the time to put your fly away? But maybe you have 2 hours, maybe 3 hours during a hatch. And if you take 15 minutes, some guys just aren't that fast at tying flies. So that concept of taking the fly, dropping it down in, having the magnets catch it while you tie another fly, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a really good idea.
That is brilliant. So for those watching, Jason, just scoot in a little bit more.
I keep drifting away because it's just not natural for 2 guys. Well, never mind. Okay, I don't want to get
I'm comfortable.
There you go. Now we can see your handsome face there. So Spencer, any new products on the horizon that you can talk about or tell us about? Any concepts coming?
We've got a few more boxes in the works right now. I can't really talk about them, but they're going to be really cool, and people are going to be really excited about them. So be expecting something in the next couple of months, 2-3 months.
Like a big streamer box.
We'll see.
I tried, Chad. I tried.
And if we can get drop jaw flies printed on there somewhere, that would be fantastic. All right, very good. So for those listening, tell them where they can find your Tacky fly boxes.
So so everything's direct. So we don't carry them on our website. We don't sell through our website. So we have a lot of dealers here in Utah. Almost all the fly shops here in Utah carry them, but you can get on our website, tackyflyfishing.com, and go and see. Go to the dealer page and see. Check out a dealer near you, but. We've got about 170, 180 dealers throughout the U.S.
Cool.
And we're also in other countries too, Canada and Europe. So, yeah.
Very good. So you have dealers in pretty much all 50 states?
Pretty much. Pretty close. There's a few states we're still working on, but we're almost in all states.
Awesome.
Well, cool. So you alluded to the fact earlier that you have a full-time day job.
Yep.
So tell us where you work and a little bit about that. Now, I looked it up online, and that looks like a place I could spend a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. So I work at Falcon's Ledge. It's a fly fishing and hunting lodge. We do our main business is fly fishing, but we also do wing shooting, so pheasant hunting, chukar hunting through the fall and the winter. But so I'm the fishing manager. This will be my 20th year working there. So
Wow.
But yeah, we're about 2.5 hours east of Salt Lake City on the south slope of the Uinta Mountains. It's a 15,000 square foot lodge. It's just a beautiful lodge. We've got fishing around the lodge on some private still waters, and then we have rivers, 5 or 6 rivers that we guide on out there. So just a lot of water, a lot of fun.
Cool. So tell us about those rivers and what kind of fish guys can fish for in them.
So so the south slope of the Uintas, we have a bunch of small streams, and so we get guys that come from all over that like fishing 2, 3, and 4 weight rods, and so it's all dry fly, dry droppers. So Rock Creek, Yellowstone, Lake Fork, Uinta, and then the White Rocks. Those are the small streams that we fish on, and there's not a lot of big fish in them, but it's high mountain streams. You're not fighting crowds when we're fishing up there, so it's really nice. Then we can drop down and fish, the Duchesne River, the Strawberry River, and go for some bigger fish.
Cool. Jason, you ever been out there, fished those streams?
I have fished. I haven't fished all of them. I've fished Rock Creek before and the Yellowstone, but every time I go out that way, it's hard for me to stop there, even though it would pay dividends to do it, because when you're headed out to the Green or Wyoming or something, it's just it's hard to do. But like Spencer's saying, there's hardly anybody up there, so great experience. And I hear that Falcon's Ledge has positions for 2 stable boys that could.
Yeah. 2 stable boys. Yep.
Yes.
Maybe we could get in on some of that fishing, Chad. I'm good with a pitchfork and a shovel. I could probably do it.
Man, I'd scrub toilets just for a chance to fish out there.
Hey, that'll work too.
Toilets.
So for guys coming from out of state, Spencer, what kind of fish can you guys hook up out there?
We've got pretty much everything. We've got rainbows, browns, brook trout, cutthroat, tiger trout. We can take a little hike up on Upper Rock Creek and catch grayling.
Oh, cool.
So, we got a lot of options. So when someone comes to us, we ask them what they want to do, what their expectations are, and we can pretty much handle it. So if they want big fish, we can go for big fish. If they want lots of little guys, we can do that. Dry fly fishing, nymphing, streamer fishing. We can pretty much do it all.
And you guys have packages for hunting in that season or combination?
Yeah. So it was like in October. So our hunting starts in September. But we do a cast and blast package that starts in October. So we hunt in the morning, have lunch, and then go fish in the afternoon.
That's
Sounds
awesome. Sign us up.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Now you mentioned for the wing shooters, pheasant and chukar. Is that correct?
Yep. Pheasants and chukar.
Dang.
Cool.
Really
And that's all on private land, correct?
It is. Yeah, we have about a 3,000 acre private hunting preserve that we hunt on. So, just lots of terrain. Again, it's different terrain. You can fish. You can hunt cornfields or washes or just whatever you want to hunt.
You guys, Spencer, are endorsed by Orvis too, right? Isn't that
we are.
lodge?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we've been in Orvis endorsed lodge for 18 or 19 years. So we have a pretty good relationship with Orvis. It's been great. Great company to work for and work with. So,
yeah, we like their gear. I fish an Orvis rod, and I have their waders and tailwaters jacket. Good stuff.
Yeah, they make some good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if guys want to come out there with their family, say the wife and kids don't want to fish, don't want to hunt, is there stuff for the family?
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we've got some hiking, we've got horseback riding. There's not a lot, after that, there's not a lot to do unless, the kids like, being around the water. And we have another property close by that you can do some swimming in. So there are activities if there's non-fishing people around.
Good. We don't really want them to come anyways. Just kidding.
You're so busted. I want you to come, Heidi, and the kids.
Just kidding. My kids would love it. They'd want to be out there fishing.
A ton of points.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, what you said last podcast is get your kids hooked on fly fishing, then they won't have any money for drugs, right? Is that what you said?
Exactly. So the best way to do it is to take them out to Falcon's Ledge and let them fish, right?
There you go.
Yes. we need to do that, Chad, with our families.
Yes.
But you got to come check it out first before you take your family, just to make sure.
Hey, he makes a great point, Chad.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, take it from the guide. He's been in it for 20 years. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's just the way it is, Heidi.
So, Spencer, you said you've worked out there for 20 years. All of that as a guide?
So, yeah, well, about 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I started, managing and managed the lodge for a few years. Didn't guide as much, then went back to guiding a little bit more. Now I'm the fishing manager, so I take care of everything fly fishing at the lodge. We take reservations, I line up the guides. So I still guide quite a bit, but not as much as I used to. So it's kind of a nice transition, something a little bit different, and mainly take care of the guests when they're at the lodge, make sure the guides have everything that they need and get them out the door, in a timely fashion and with everything, and make sure they don't forget their lunches.
So in working as a guide, what's most rewarding about it?
Oh man, there's a lot of things. Usually when we get some beginners out there, it's a lot of fun watching them catch their first fish on a fly rod. That's a lot of fun, and so that there's some reward in that, and then also if we're really working hard for a fish, a guy wants a nice big fish, and we work really hard all day long. Maybe it's the only fish we catch all day, but once you catch that fish and the client's happy, that's really what it's about.
Yeah. Now, Jason, you've guided, and Spencer, you have too. Tell our listeners, those guys that have never fished with a guide, maybe people thinking about getting into fly fishing, why should they go with a guide at least once? Let's start with you, Jason.
Well, if you can afford a guide, sometimes some guides will do a half-day trip if you can't do the full day. But what that does is it brings you up to date to some techniques and maybe some flies that are pertinent to that condition, that time of year. So you don't just show up to the stream just blindsided. He'll be able to show you some casts, some flies, how to set your rod up, different tactics, and man, you can be caught up. It's incredibly cool how fast you could be caught up as far as what to do when you begin. And even if you're intermediate or advanced, some guy is going to have more knowledge than you with a particular river or whatever, and it's just awesome to be able to pick people's brains. It's well worth the money. So whatever Spencer says is going to supersede that. So I was just let's hurry and defer. Let's hurry and get over to a real guy.
Well, I was just going to say somebody's always better. Somebody's always smarter. So let's go to the better, smarter person.
No, everything Jason said was spot on. I have an example. Quite a few years ago, I was in Colorado, and I thought, I'm just going to go fish the frying pan. I'm just going to go fish the frying pan. I don't need anything. So I went there, and there's a fish feeding, and it's going back and forth, feeding underneath, and I'm throwing everything I have, everything. Every fly. I was there for 4 hours fishing for this one fish. Didn't even look at any of my flies. Went back into the fly shop, told the guys in there, I'm like, yeah, I fished for this one fish, and they asked me, well, do you have any micey shrimp? And I said, what's a micey shrimp? They're like, oh, that's what these fish are eating, and I had no idea. So, the knowledge that some of these guides have is priceless. Even intermediate or even seasoned fly fishermen, it's a good idea if you're going to a new piece of water, hire a guide for one day or a half day. That way, you can get the local knowledge, you can get the local flies, and it really does help. So we get a lot of guys that come in that don't know the area will hire us for a day just so we can kind of show them where to go, what flies to use, areas to fish, and then that makes their next 3 or 4 days a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's smart.
So worth the money.
Well, and I'm fortunate. I've only been fly fishing for a year. I came from the spin fishing world. Mm-hmm. But I've had a personal guide for the last year, fishing with Jason. Yeah, you.
You're pretty lucky then.
Yeah.
Well, well,
Very lucky. So Spencer, has guiding taught you anything about fishing?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, like it sounds cliche, but you seriously, you're always learning something when you're out there fishing. Like it doesn't matter how many years you've been fly fishing, something always going to come up. Whether it's fly patterns or conditions, when you're fishing. So yeah, everything, you're going to learn a lot of stuff when you go. When I went out fishing with Jason this last fall, fishing his drop jaw flies, I learned a bunch how to different types of casting, because some of these flies are a little bit heavier than I'm normally used to casting. So yeah, you're continually learning when you're out on the water. So that's the nice thing about fly fishing is you're never going to learn it all. There's always something around the corner.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever really unlocked the brain code of these fish. I mean, some days you just get strike out, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's days where you can't go wrong, and there's days where you can't get anything right. So,
I'm glad that I still have some hair back here, Chad, because I learned the other day the hard way, and you can't see the learning that took place, but yeah,
you can feel it.
Always learning, yes.
He's got scars to prove it.
That's right.
So that was a big fly to the back of the head, huh?
If it doesn't club you, you might get a small piercing. So I always opt for the clubbing effect. I'm not really into the piercing.
Have you ever thought about wearing a helmet?
I might. Hey, speaking of that, this is a funny story. So on that trip, Spencer and I we were coming home, I think. I from Strawberry. We're just cruising down the road talking about something, and all of a sudden what the heck is coming down the road? And no joke, we look over and there is Captain America, full suit, full costume, full shield, just walking down the road, all gallant and everything. It was so funny.
It was strange,
but
just out in the middle of nowhere
on Highway 40, out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah,
just a guy walking in a Captain America costume.
We passed him and we both look at each other and we're like, "Is that Captain America?" So we turned around and we went and talked to him for a little bit. So.
Yeah, just speaking of helmet, I mean, the guy, he didn't have a helmet, but he had his shield and he had the American flag and his mask. And it was interesting. I can't remember. He was doing a walk from, coast to coast or something like that.
Something like that.
For
veterans or something. So it was a charity walk, basically. So,
well, at least you had a good reason.
yeah,
that's why we stopped and asked
him.
So how many times have you two fished together?
Oh,
just the once, I think.
Yeah, well, we got to hang out at Star Valley,
yeah.
And we didn't actually get to fish together, but those guys that you just have a kinship with. We never fished together except for that time at Strawberry, but it's like we had for a long time. So, well, it was a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, we need to get out more.
Definitely.
So who caught more fish?
Hey, it was only because I've fished Strawberry since I was 6, and I do not. There's so much left to learn. Spencer, speaking, that's a good intro into his SOS fly, because if he had that fly anywhere else but Strawberry, I'd be in the hole, man. He just rip it up on me. I know it.
So tell us about this SOS fly.
So the SOS is just a kind of an all-purpose nymph. It's got a black pheasant tail for a tail, thin thread body with some silver wires, the rib, and then black thorax. It's just hare's ear dubbing with a red piece of floss. I don't know why I forgot that. Floss for the wing case, and then some crystal flash legs with a silver bead. So I came up with it because, now on the Provo River, you can fish 3 flies. Thanks to Lance Egan, you can fish three flies. But back when I came up with this pattern, you could only fish 2 flies. And so on the Provo River, a sow-bug, my favorite patterns are sow-bug, pheasant tail, and a zebra midge. So I could only fish two of those each time, but the sow-bug was kind of a staple. So I was always switching between the pheasant tail and the zebra midge. And so I tried to combine the two, and so I did. Pretty much because I'm lazy. I came up with the two, so I didn't have to keep switching out, and so that's how that came about, and it works great for midges, mayfly nymphs, PMDs, or blue-wing olives. And, it works great for those hatches, and I've used it pretty much everywhere. Before I submitted it to Orvis, I made sure it caught fish everywhere. I was sending it out to friends, and so it caught fish pretty much in every western state. And then back east, some guys were using it up in Canada. So it's a fun fly.
Man, good for you. Wow, when did you come up with that? How long ago?
So that's kind of funny. I came up with it in probably 2001, and I put it in my box, and I just forgot about it. And I'm fishing around. I was guiding one day, and the fishing was tough, and fish are coming up, looking at our dries, going back down, just refusing everything we had. And so I was going through my box, and I found the SOS. I put it on, dropped it about that much below the dry fly, and first cast, fish came up, grabbed it, and took off. And I thought, okay, I better tie some more of these up. So
Cool.
yeah, I almost lost it. I almost forgot about it until that day. So about 2000 is when I came up with it.
Cool. And how long has it been in Orvis then?
I think it's been there 4 or 5 years now. 4 or 5.
That's cool. Well, that's a good running time right there. We need to put a picture of that up, Chad, because when you look at it, it just has all the aspects of a good fly. You know, the profile, the color, the segmentation. It's a cool fly. One that you wouldn't want to be without.
Sweet. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
So where'd you come up with the name SOS?
So for the longest time, I didn't have a name for it. And so some of the guys at Falcon's Ledge were sitting around tying flies after a long day, getting ready for the next day. And one of our guides, Eric Mackey, he said, well, what's the name of your fly? And it's like, I don't know. I don't have a name for it. And because we use it so often when we're guiding on tough days, he called it the SOS, save our skins. So I said that works, it sticks. So let's call it the SOS.
Sweet, save our man. We could have used that yesteday.
We need one that's
we had a tough
SOL.
day on the Provo yesterday.
yeah. A lot of them are. Well, just to save myself some heartache, I won't name the acronym, but
does it work with on wives too? SOS.
It's been known to work on wives. Yeah.
So cool.
You know what? Oh, go ahead, Jed.
No, go ahead.
We got Spencer here. He's been fishing for a long time. I got to hear, what keeps him at it for why he loves it so much. What is it about fly fishing that's just keeping you entertained and keeps you going?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier, you're continuously learning. So whether that's targeting a new fish or fishing different flies, honestly, I've never really fished these drop jaw flies this big and heavy. So it's been kind of fun going out and fishing those. But, targeting carp and just different species of fish, I got into bull trout. So I think what keeps me going is carp. What keeps me going is me targeting different fish, fishing different flies. And now I've me and 3 other of my friends, we have a media company now that we go out and we film places that we fish. And so we're catching bull trout, we're catching West Slope cutthroat, we're char, brook trout, lots of different species of fish. So that's kind of what keeps me going. You never really get bored of anything because it's continually changing. So with new gear and stuff like that. So
Spencer, what is that company? The media company?
It's called Western Waters Media.
Okay, that's right. And that's Courtney
Boyce, Derek Olthius, Phil Tuttle, and myself. And so we do films for IF4, the International Fly Fishing Film Festival, and then some other online web Vimeo type of stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's kind of fun. We just kind of got into it kind of on accident. We were just out fishing one day and we started taking some footage of fishing and the fish, and then kind of put things together. It was kind of fun. It was cool, and then it just kind of grew from there. So we're planning on going to Iceland this year to film. And,
Oh, sweet. I was just going to ask you.
yeah.
I saw the intro to your latest film, Arctic Unicorns.
Oh, yes.
That looked so cool. Tell us a little bit about that trip. That was up to Canada, correct?
That was Canada and Alaska. And honestly, I didn't go on that trip because I had to stay back and work. But so Fortress Lake was in Canada. They went out there for a few days for the brook trout, and then a week later they went to Alaska and fished for Arctic char and sea run dolly varden, and those big colorful unicorn looking fish. Those are the sea run dolly varden.
So we know who's the responsible one out of the group. Like Spencer's back here working, you know.
That was one of the toughest weeks of work. I'm out there guiding and knowing these guys are catching these awesome looking fish. So
I bet.
Not this year. I'm going this year. We're going to Iceland.
And they need 2 stable boys for that trip, Chad.
Actually, caddies.
Oh, two caddies, two rod caddies.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Man, we'll carry your luggage. I'll go get you breakfast in the morning.
Hey, that'd be nice.
That's awesome.
Cool. When are you guys heading to Iceland?
You know, we're probably gonna go the first part of June. So our film's gonna be on big brown trout. So we're gonna try to catch some big browns there.
Now, how did Arctic Unicorns do in the film festival so far?
So far, it's been pretty good. I've been to 3 or 4 fly fishing shows, and they show them at these fly fishing shows, and so far the response has been incredible. I went up to Calgary for the show up there, and it was a really good response. They sold out 2 shows, or they sold out the first show so fast they had to do a second show, and yeah, so far it's been well received.
Wow, good for you guys.
So,
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool movie.
And then obviously you're going to be making a movie about Iceland, correct?
Uh-huh. Yep. We'll hopefully we'll be there for about 10 days, and hopefully we can get into we've seen some footage and some photos of 20-pound browns up to 30 pounds, and so we're going to see if we can catch one of those guys.
Holy smokes!
You know, I don't know if they can, Chad. You know, it might be a crapshoot for these guys. You know.
We'll see.
I know, but they got to try.
Yeah. New world records coming in June, probably.
So, Spencer, I want to ask you, tell us one of your favorite fishing stories, or either a funny story or most memorable fishing outing.
So I'll probably go with most memorable. We up at Falcon's Ledge, we host a bunch of like real recovery for the guys with cancer and stuff. We also host Project Healing Waters. So a group from Colorado came out. One of the gentlemen in the group was legally blind. He just couldn't see his flies. He couldn't see the indicator. He couldn't really see where to cast all that well. And he went out with just another guy in the group. And the guy kept saying, "Well, no, you got to cast over there. You see that seam right there?" And the guy's like, "I can't see." His indicator goes down. He's yelling at him, "Hey, your indicator went. Did you see that?" And the guy's like, "No, I didn't see that." So I took him out the next day, and I just told him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be your eyes today. You just listen to me, and we're going to catch you some fish." So we went out there. I told him about where to cast. He was great. He cast where he needed to cast. Indicator goes down. I just told him when to set the hook. He sets the hook. We ended up catching 7 fish that day.
Oh, cool.
And it was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, because he was relying on me almost 100% on catching these fish. And so it was really fun to be able to see him get into these fish, where he was kind of discouraged the day before, not knowing if he was ever going to catch a fish before he left. So that was probably most memorable. It was just really cool driving home thinking that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done guiding.
That is really neat.
Really cool. Good story.
Yeah.
I got a lot of other stories too, funny and stuff like that, but that was probably most memorable.
Cool. Well, Spencer, tell our listeners where they can find Tacky Fly Fishing. You guys obviously have a website. You're on social media.
So our website, obviously, tackyflyfishing.com. Our Instagram account is Tacky Fly Fish. And then we have an Instagram account, Tacky Fly Fishing, Facebook, Tacky Fly Fishing. So yeah, we're on social media. We hit it pretty hard. That's kind of my job is I do a lot of the marketing for the company. So try to keep up on that as much as I can. So, but then like I said earlier, we're in a lot of shops. We have a lot of online dealers as well. So independent fly shops, online dealers. We're also with Orvis, Cabela's, and Shields, and
Awesome.
Dick's Sporting Goods. So yeah.
Cool. And then Falcon's Ledge. If guys want to come visit you there, how do they do that?
So we have a website, falconsledge.com. You can find us there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can always message us on any of those accounts. We'll get back to you. So yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of us.
We'll put Spencer's cell number up, and you can.
For all the single ladies, are you married, Spencer?
Not married. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. Any guy that has a bigger chest than Jason is sure to attract the ladies.
I had to hunch down to try and hide it, Now I got my elbows on the table. I'm just kind of like, oh, holy crap. What does he do? Bulgarian steroids? Look at
maybe that's why he's going to Iceland. Yeah. All right. Hey, Spencer, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you. Jason, any parting words?
I just really admire Spencer. He's been in the business for quite a while, and we're going to give him this super pack of drop jaw fly heads to see what he can come up with. Maybe the SOL drop jaw fly, to go along with the SOS. And but no, great guy, and hopefully we can get out fishing together and go catch some fish.
Definitely,
for sure. All right, guys, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Stay safe on all of your fishing adventures and stick 'em solid.
Stick 'em solid.
All right, friends, thanks for listening to the Drop Jaw Flies podcast. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you have an idea or topic that you'd like us to discuss on a future podcast, let us know. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and on our website at www.dropjawflies.com. Please take a moment and subscribe to us on iTunes or Podbean or our YouTube channel. Now get out there and hook a big one and stick 'em solid.